Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Today I've got a look at the new Tier 7 US Navy light cruiser Cleveland for you. Gonna go briefly over my build as far as mod selection and commander, take a look at some key stats, and then jump into some gameplay. And it's a pretty interesting game, I think. Anyway, I don't have this ship fully upgraded. I have the hull upgrade and the range upgrade for the guns installed. Got aiming systems mod 1 and main battery mod 3. I will be using propulsion and concealment mods when I have the funds. And for my commander build, level 16 Norm Scott with Gunichi Makawa, also at level 16, and Andre Lemonnier at level 11 for the inspirations. Note that I have Beyond Range selected in Scott's first row of skills. That I was using in this game, I think, because I didn't have the range upgrade yet installed, but once I got that installed, I switched back to Burn It Down XXL, which I think is a better choice. Now, as far as the guns go, the Cleveland here has 12 152mm guns. That is 3 less guns, or 1 less turret, than its predecessor on the tech tree, the Helena, which I will be comparing the ship to mostly as, whether it's a decent upgrade from the Helena. The guns range out to 15.3 kilometers with the 10% increase that the upgrade to range gives you. Right here they say 13.9 because I think I took this screenshot with Burn It Down XXL on there. They reload in 5.3 seconds, which is almost Atlanta-esque, and they take 20.7 seconds to perform a 180-degree turn. HE shell damage 2300, AP shell damage 3300. Exact same damage as the Helena, but the Cleveland here gets a 1% better fire chance. And that 1% isn't a huge difference, but an 18% fire chance on these guns that shoot every 5.3 seconds, that is pretty nasty. Now, we're going to be on Neighbors Domination mode for this game, and I will tell you, because it's in the thumbnail, so you already know, but I kind of potato into a kraken on this one. Hopefully you guys will find it somewhat entertaining. Now, as far as whether this is a great or a good successor to the Helena, according to my notes, the Helena reloads at 9.5 seconds, which seems a little high to me. I feel like I wrote that down wrong. In any case, this is much faster with the main battery mod 3 in the 4th slot, and I think that is how I would recommend running this ship, because that kind of firepower, 5.3 seconds, is nasty. Whether you're spamming HE at a battleship trying to take down a destroyer quickly, or if you come up against an enemy cruiser and it is showing you broadside, then you can pump AP into it almost as fast as an Atlanta. The Atlanta, remember, has a base reload speed of 5 seconds if you don't modify it. So this is almost the same at 5.3 seconds. Take a shot there at that Algerie. Notice the shatters. This is something that I think I talked about in my look at the Helena. When you are shooting these guns against targets with any kind of armor, expect to get a lot of shatters. Now I'm pinging that Yudachi to get back. I have gone too far. I don't have shots on the enemy kid that is threatening the Yudachi, but in a contest between a Yudachi and a kid, I'm sure you can guess who is more likely to come out on top. Although, to be fair, we do have a friendly cruiser shooting at the kid, taking off a lot of his hit points, but it's not going to be enough. The kid finishes off the Yudachi before I can get into position to shoot him. Once I do open up, you can see that no shatters to be had there, We take down the kid pretty quickly with the help of the friendly cruiser that is near us, and then we begin to fire at the Colorado. Now, if you look at the hit indicators when these shells come down, you'll notice 6 shatters right in the first salvo. This is something to expect when your shells hit lightly armored targets. Oh crap, the kid has torpedoes, doesn't it? And they have enough range to hit me. Whoops, that's embarrassing. Anyway, shatters, we get some penetrations there, but shooting against heavily armored battleships, expect these shells to shatter. They still have that 18% fire chance, and they are pretty good at starting fires. I've played multiple games. I think I've played 10, maybe 11 games in this ship, and, you know, this is, I guess, early impressions, but in many of those games, I've gotten 10 or more fires. The only problem is these smaller caliber guns and the shatters. They don't do a lot of HE shell penetration damage against battleships, and, I've noticed, against some heavily armored cruisers in the side armor. You kind of have to aim for superstructure on some of those, too. But when they can hit a target and do damage, they can stack it up pretty quickly. The 2300 base max damage for the HE is pretty good, and it can chew through the ships that the shells can actually penetrate. I was shooting at a Vladivostok in a game that is not this one, and by the end of the game I had 329 main battery hits. I ended up with 70,000 damage or so, and most of those hits were against the Vladivostok. When I was looking at the hit indicator, like, I was firing at this guy for a really long time from behind an island. It was probably a waste of time, honestly. When I was looking at the hit indicator, I think by the time I finished unloading all that HE at that Vladivostok, I'd hit him over 100 times, and probably 70 to 80 of those hits had been shatters on his armor. So this is not a Russian cruiser with Kuznetsov and his equilibrium of power skill that increases the HE shell penetration by 30%. The Russian cruisers, if they're shooting at a similar target, they tend to get a lot more HE shell penetrations. Couple those penetrations with their good fire starting chance, and they can melt battleships probably a little bit quicker than the Cleveland here can. That being said, its ability to pump out fire faster than any of the Russian cruisers like the Shores or Chapayev or Kutuzov. There we take down the Colorado for our first kill, by the way. Done a cool 28,000 damage with 5 fires set and 93 main battery hits. So, you know, we're getting there. Anyway, don't expect these guns to perform the same way as the Russian cruisers. I guess those are the best comparison. We don't have a whole ton of light cruisers at Tier 7. Most of them are heavy cruisers, and of course, the light versus heavy distinction is, from what I understand, based on the caliber of the guns. So you got something with 150 millimeter guns, 152 millimeter guns as the case is here, and that'd be considered a light cruiser. Once you get up to like the Wichita or the Baltimore with its 203s, those would be the heavy cruisers, and the majority of the Tier 7 cruisers do have 203s. The only exceptions really are now the Cleveland, the Edinburgh, and the Chapayev as far as tech tree goes. They all have a pretty similar gun caliber. Comparing this ship to the Edinburgh briefly, the Edinburgh, of course, only fires AP, so the comparison may not be apt. But it does come with a smoke screen, which definitely helps you in avoiding taking fire. Although the Edinburgh does have very nice bow armor. I think it's 30 or 32 millimeters, so it can certainly bounce 15-inch battleship shells. And, you know, it's a little bit more durable than the Cleveland is here. Same story with the Chapayev, by the way. It also has 27mm bow armor, so it can bow tank battleships with 15-inch guns. The Cleveland here, well, you don't want to be shot in it, especially by 16-inch guns. I'm lucky to not be dead after being hit by that Sinop, but somehow RNG decides one shell is going to miss me, leave me with 61 hit points, and then I'm able to deploy a heal and get back up to 3,700, which is, you know, still not great. Was a cruiser coming around the corner, giving me broadside. I probably could have taken him out, but one of the friendlies does it instead. I jump into the smoke screen that was laid down by the enemy Kagero, and now I sit in the cap, making sure that I finish capping it, which is probably about the best thing I can do right now. I don't really want to get into any direct confrontations with any ships. I can probably be taken out in a single salvo by some of them, maybe 2 salvos at worst by a few others. Got an enemy Helena creeping around this corner, AP loaded in anticipation for his arrival. We are going to test out this AP briefly in this battle. I don't remember if we get to shoot it at the Helena, but I do think we get to shoot it at a Jean Bart to see what it can do. As far as what you probably should be using most of the time, the HE to, you know, deal with destroyers and lightly armored cruisers, and to start fire on battleships. But the AP, probably not something you should sleep on, especially with the rapid fire nature of these shells. The AP seems to be pretty great, like most American cruiser AP, at punishing the broadside of cruisers that are close enough to be punished. And also it can get some pretty nice superstructured damage on enemy battleships, which we'll see here in a second. Do take a pot shot at that Helena as he goes around the corner and loses sight of us. So we're now going to open up on the Sinop, who is reversing, become a little bit of an HE spamming menace, and kind of pay him back for smacking us really hard earlier in the match. He manages to miss the friendly torpedoes that are coming at him, but he gets slapped really hard by something, and he is on fire. Our fire ends up taking him out for the 4th kill of this match. Things are looking good. We're ahead of the enemy team on points and in terms of ship count. Now we're just going to move around here, be very conservative with our remaining hit points, and try to hit the enemy without giving them a chance to hit us back. And that's kind of what you have to rely on in the Cleveland, which is to make sure you're in situations where you're not going to be hit back by the enemy ships, or at least if you do get hit back, you only get hit back by one, and hopefully it's a cruiser. You don't want to be shot at by battleships, especially if you're giving any kind of angle. You know, paradoxically, as is the case with these American light cruisers, sometimes if you're giving a flat broadside to an enemy battleship or even an enemy cruiser and they're shooting AP at you, the AP shells will go right through your ship and not detonate. They'll overpen and do only 10% of their maximum damage. So, you know, occasionally you'll get lucky, take minimal damage from enemy cruisers. Not if they're shooting HE at you like this Helena is, but this Helena is in just as much trouble as I am. He is maneuvering, trying to get out of the way. I hit him and nearly take him out there. We're going to see if this next salvo finishes him off. And it does for the Kraken Unleashed. You can see what I mean by saying that I potatoed a little bit into a Kraken on this one. Well, maybe not potatoed. That might not be the right word. I did have to be in the right place at the right time to secure all those kills, but I probably didn't do the majority of damage on any of them. Anyway, you need to be in a position where you're not likely to take a lot of return damage, otherwise you're not going to be around for much longer. For very long, rather. The Cleveland doesn't have the armor of the other light cruisers in the tech tree. The Edinburgh or the Chapayev, it can't really shrug off 15-inch battleship shells. It can probably shrug off some cruiser AP if it's aimed at the bow, and there's a chance that if you're giving flat broadside to a battleship or a cruiser that you'll get overpenned and not die immediately. But always risky, always a roll of the dice. As a rule of thumb, you don't want to get shot. Now we switch to the AP on this Jean Bart to get some shells into his superstructure. We hit him for 3k on the first salvo and about 1 to 2k on these follow-up salvos, so you can see that this AP has the potential to deal some pretty wicked damage to the superstructure of battleships, particularly if they have lightly armored superstructure like the Jean Bart does. Not only is he susceptible to the HE spam and being lit on fire, he's also susceptible to the AP spam, especially if he's broadside like that. Now, though, we just have a Kutuzov left. If that Kutuzov shoots me even once, I am probably dead. His shells are almost certainly going to penetrate me because he's probably running that equilibrium of power thing. Even if he wasn't, they might penetrate. And, you know, he's just going to kill me. So I'm posted up behind this island, just going to farm him for some damage as this game ends. We'll see what happens when my shells do hit. You can see there's a shatter there. And this actually surprised me a little bit because I think I get a number of shatters against this guy. Yeah, 2 more shatters. Did light a fire, but you can see I didn't think the Kutuzov was that heavily armored, but apparently it's got some armor on it, and apparently, you know, it's tricky for me. Maybe I'm just not great at aiming to hit these guys when they're turning. I think I got it dialed in now. In any case, the Cleveland is a strong fire starter with its incredibly quick reload if you use the main battery mod, and it's a powerful ship. It does come with the American radar too, like the Wichita and Baltimore, so it can absolutely be a terror to destroyers. It's just that the guns without that equilibrium of power skill, they don't do as much damage as you might want them to do compared to the Russians. Nevertheless, I'm enjoying this ship. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't done that already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.